How you doing? This is American Liberty Radio Network. This is the American Liberty Radio Network podcast for, what is today, the 12th? Yes. The 12th of May, 2017. Folks, what a day. What a day, what a day, what a day. What a day. What a 24 hours it has been. There's so much going on, folks. So much going on. And I'm doing things outside of the studio. And so it's really fun. So, let's get to it so I can do what I need to do. The one thing now, I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna put this out here because of the fact that things change, as I like to say, every 5 minutes. Okay, things change every 5 minutes. It seems like, right? That some of the things I talked about yesterday have drawn some, interesting responses. So, now, not by me, not by my listeners, but by people in general. And I'm trying to hold back because certain things have happened in the last 24 hours which just make me livid. Just pisses me off to no end. Okay. Net ignores former Democrat Congresswoman getting convicted of corruption. Nicholas Fondacaro over at newsbusters.com, Corinne Brown has been found guilty on 18 fraud and tax evasion charges. If there was one thing the liberal media does with the greatest of ease, it would be pretending the corruption of Democrats doesn't exist. That talent was on full display Thursday as the big three networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC, ignored the conviction of former Florida Democratic Congresswoman Corinne Brown. Quote, Corinne was found guilty on 18 fraud and tax evasion charges, unquote, reported Fox News' Brett Baer during special report. Quote, Brown was accused of illegally siphoning $800,000 from her charity into her own bank account for lavish parties, trips, shopping excursions, etc., unquote, he said. Quote, Brown said she did not know what was going on and blamed her former chief of staff who pleaded guilty to corruption charges and testified against her, unquote. But the story doesn't end there. Called One Door. But the story doesn't end there. Her charity, called One Door, quote, was purported to give scholarships to poor students, unquote, according to Fox News. They also reported that, quote, earlier this year, One Door President Carla Wiley pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud after it was determined that she had deposited $800,000 into the foundation's account over 4 years. Over that time, federal prosecutors said it gave one scholarship for $1,000 that Wiley transferred herself tens of thousands of dollars, unquote. There's more to read. I'm going to put that on the American Liberty Radio podcast page. So many things going on, folks, and like I said, it seems like things change every 5 minutes, okay? It seems like things change every 5 minutes. And this is true with other countries. At one point, one news organization can say, well, Iraq said this and Jerusalem said this and the Palestinian government said this, They don't have all the truth, all the facts. Neither do I. Neither does anybody else. What they have is information given to them by various sources. He said, she said, and the other person commented. I mean, this type of thing is going on. Okay. Now, when we look at the information that's out there, when we examine the very nature of who is putting this information together for the propagandist media, that's where I begin to question the integrity of the mainstream media, the propagandist media, the liars, in those areas. I begin to question the integrity of these people. And that's what has gotten me so riled up in the last several days and several weeks. Because now there's information coming out that I don't remember who it was. I may find it here today, but there's congressmen here in the United States encouraging other countries to take President Trump out. Okay? This is what has me so riled up, okay? And that information should be for us, you and I. Why is this? Why are congressmen calling for the impeachment or the encouraging people to tell Trump to quit or resign or whatever? Why is that? Well, number A, why is that going on? Why is that happening? And B, why isn't everybody like this former Democratic congresswoman? Why isn't the news all over this fact? Right? Why is all this stuff being kept from us? Of course, let me say that I understand that if we start revealing everything going on, the enemy's going to get it. They're going to see our vulnerabilities. Let me tell you something. In the last 65 years or so, other countries have seen our vulnerabilities. Other countries have witnessed our, what's the word I'm looking for? Our collapse as a whole. This has been going on for decades, folks. Other countries know what they can do to get rid of us. Okay? So there's no way that anybody can keep the information from the general public. Well, we don't want to say anything because we don't want the enemy to know what we're doing. They already know. You just don't want to tell us because you don't want to get us all riled up and get us out in the streets to protect this country because you want the country to collapse. Because you think you're going to get that fancy corner office on the big elites, on the elites playing field in New York City. I'm being facetious, but that's pretty much what is happening. You got these ne'er-do-wells that lived on their daddy's trust for many, many years, and they think they can have anything they want. And we need to know all of this stuff. Why? Because we the people, you and I, the citizens of the United States of America Incorporated, need to know who the enemy is. And it's not so much the people in other countries, it's the people right here in Washington, D.C., and the elites that control Washington, D.C. We need to know the information and we need to protect ourselves. Because there's people out there that don't want anybody to know anything, anyhow, whatsoever, and they're going to take all the tools that you and I use and they're going to try to shut it down. How do I know that? Jerome Corsi. Soros George Soros expands efforts to keep net neutrality censorship. Soros and Google have funded net neutrality astroturf groups with $72 million since 2006. That's Google, folks. Google. Okay? And they Google, wants to shut us down. That's just the way it is. How the CIA made Google the inside secret network behind mass surveillance, endless war, and Skynet. Part 1. This came out the 22nd of January, 2015. It's a 49, well, it says 49-minute read. I don't know. I haven't read it yet. I'm giving you straight up, I haven't read this yet. Nafiz Ahmed wrote this, so I'm going to put this on the American Liberty Radio podcast Facebook page for you guys to go read and check out and investigate and do all that. But if anything, or I should say, let me reiterate myself here. If nothing else, we've got a big ass problem in this country, and the target is on Washington, D.C. Okay? Now, going back 6 years ago to the 16th of February, 2011, this is something else I want to share with you on American Liberty Radio Podcast. So go to American Liberty Radio Podcast and check out this article, because I'm pasting it right now, and there it is. Facebook and Google are CIA fronts. Don't believe me? Well, then you make up your own mind. You make up your own mind. You bring to your understanding these things that are out there. Go to YouTube. As a matter of fact, let me go there now so that you guys, well, as soon as I find YouTube, so that you guys can be on the same page as I am when I say that there is, a connection to CIA and Facebook. And now, a lot of people would say, well, we've seen that video before, yada, yada, yada. But let me give you 4 videos. 4. That's a lot of work to go dig through. But 4 videos. And the longest one is almost 13 minutes long. Okay, so I'm going to give you 4 videos. And while I'm trying to bring these up and share them with you, I want to remind you that there are a lot of people out there that don't want you to know the truth. There are a lot of people out there that don't want you to know the truth. Now, why is that? Well, because, and I'm going to say it, the truth hurts. People hate the fact that there are people out there who want to know the truth, who have the truth, who speak the truth boldly, who know and understand the truth, who have literally every piece of information, factual information, to base what they understand the truth to be. Now, here's something else, and I came across this pretty much accidentally one day. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about how people see things. Their understanding of certain things, how they, see this stuff. And it goes, it goes to this. I'm not going to tell you the whole conversation because I don't remember it. It was that much of it anymore. It's been quite a while ago that we talked, about 4 or 5 years ago. And we were talking about how people see things. We're talking about perspective. A lot of people will look at me and say, your perspective is wrong. Here's my point on perspective. Some people will say, your perspective is wrong. I look at them saying, no, I'm just not seeing things your way, the way you want me to see these things. And guess what? I found out by accident that that's exactly why people do not want to know the truth. Is because they want to see things their way, not the way that would reveal the truth or the facts. Okay? Not to reveal the truth. They want to see things their way. If it's too bad for them to see, they want to hide their eyes from it. So the perspective is a big, huge deal when you're looking at a lot of this stuff. Up on American Liberty Radio Podcast, the Facebook CIA connection scandal, Facebook CIA connection, Facebook creation of CIA, and Facebook spies on you for the government. That is all YouTube videos that I just put up there, so go check that out if you would, please. Thank you very much. Let me know how I'm doing, folks. Because, the better I do, the better off I can do my job and give you the information you're looking for. All I encourage you to do is, hey, go check it out on your own, develop your own assessment of these things, draw your own conclusions on it, and then I may have missed something, so tell me about it. Let me know what's going on. You can email me at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. And what can I say, folks? Perspective is a big thing. Perspective is a big thing. Okay? Huge thing. Now, I'm going to take a little break. Well, when I say little, it's not so it's not so little. But I'm going to take a little break, and I'll come back, and there's something I want to tell you. There's something I want to talk to you about. Again, I want you to remember perspective. Okay? All right, perspective. I want you to understand perspective. Okay? And it's real simple. But I'm going to go to break, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to get into this next article about Keith Olbermann, if you haven't heard already. All right, so excuse me. I gotta searching for my list here. Here we go. Yeah, perspective. That word sticks into my head. Perspective. So just think about that. I'll be back in about 2 minutes. Don't go away. This is American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.com. The reality underneath the honesty. LiveTruthRadio.com. Check out Late Night in the Midlands with your host Michael Vera at LateNightinTheMidlands.com, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Go to latenightinthemidlands.com. The world as we know it has been turned upside down. The leaders are faced with possible annihilation from their enemies. The United States is at the brink of a total collapse. This is the reality we live in. What can be done? The truth. The facts. American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Hey folks, welcome back. This is American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.com. How are you? Lots of things going on. Lots of things happening in our world today. This is the 12th of May, 2017. PJ Media is reporting Keith Olbermann pleads with spy agencies around the world to help him take down Trump. Keith Olbermann is more insane than ever. Good God, but bathtub boy is bonkers. On Twitter, on Twitter, GQ's Keith Olbermann posted this quote-unquote passionate appeal to foreign spies to help him overthrow our duly elected president. Quote, I appeal to the intelligence agencies and the governments of what is the left of the free world. Unquote, Olbermann began dramatically. I'm just going to leave this on American Liberty Radio Podcast. Keith Olbermann is a freaking idiot. I used to watch MSNBC. That was the first, other than CNN, that was the other network that I used to watch, other than CNN, because I thought that they were credible. Until I began to hear Keith Olbermann and Rachel Maddow and a few other ones dish out their propaganda. Then I realized MSNBC was full of crap. Then I went to Fox News because Fox News just came on, and was there and was brand new and had a lot of people. I was listening to Bill O'Reilly and people like that, and I watched it and then I was bouncing back between CNN and Fox, and I thought I'd give MSNBC another chance and blah, blah, blah. So I was bouncing and I found all this stuff, right? Excuse me. So finally, I was watching CNN and I came across this gentleman who was encouraging people to send him pitchforks and torches, and realized Glenn Beck was on there and was saying everything that had to be said and revealing everything that had to be revealed. And after a couple of years of watching that almost every night, I realized he's going over to Fox. Okay, so now their credibility shot up a little bit in my eyes from my perspective. Remember that. Perspective. I began to watch him over there. He was saying the same thing. He was revealing all this stuff all of a sudden. And I've said this story before, but you can go look at it on YouTube because it's on there. And I saw it personally myself when it first aired. And that was Fox and Friends. And I watched Glenn Beck say, there's FEMA camps in America. I've got information to prove that there are camps in America where people are going to be taken to, and all this. And he said he was going to talk about that on his radio show. On his radio show, he said he was going to talk about it on his TV show. I watched his TV show. I watched the opening monologue of his TV show. He said a few things, introduced the show a little bit, yada, yada. Then he looks at the camera and says, there are no FEMA camps in America. He then walks to the camera a little bit, blinks his eye, and says, I was told to say that. So he definitely revealed that somebody got to him. His show then became more popular. Then it kind of, balanced out a little bit. And then, voila. He gets encouraged to have the rest of his contract bought out by Fox. Now he goes on. I mean, you can go email him and ask him this. GlennBeck.com. Go talk to him. Go look at YouTube videos. Fox and Friends, Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck FEMA camps. Glenn Beck show, FEMA camps. Go look at it. It's on YouTube. Okay? Perspective, folks. I don't talk about this stuff without having something to back up what I'm saying. And most people don't care. Most people don't care. North Korea vows to annihilate those behind the attempt to kill country leader. The terror group was acting on the instructions of intelligence agency of the U.S. and South Korea, according to Kim Hyun Jung. This is coming from Sputnik. Is that Sputnik.com? Oh, SputnikNews.com. The terror group was acting on instructions of the intelligence agency of the U.S. and South Korea. Quote, North Korea has exposed a criminal group planted by the CIA and the South Korean intelligence services to carry out state-backed terror plot by the means of biological and chemical weapons against our leadership, unquote, the ambassador said during a press conference in Moscow on Friday. According to the ambassador, the terrorist group had been active since 2014, with the latest preparations taking place in March and April this year. Kim Hyun Jung stressed that, according to the information at the North Korean government's disposal, the terrorists aimed to remotely, that's in quotes, poison the leadership of the country, planning the attack in a way so that the effect of the poisoning would have shown 6 months later. Organizers of the attempts to assassinate the leader of North Korea will be, quote, mercilessly destroyed, unquote. Did I say quote, unquote? Yeah. North Korean ambassador said, quote, the Ministry of State Security of North Korea has announced that it will find and mercilessly destroy the organizers behind the planned terror attacks from the CIA and National Intelligence Services of South Korea to the last one, unquote, the ambassador vowed. That right there, folks, that right there is a declaration of war. Veiled threats as it might seem from certain perspectives, that is an outright declaration of war. To have a country tell you that the people that are in your country, that are there plotting to destroy your leadership, for a country to say, yeah, we know they're here, we know they're trying to kill our leader, and we are going to find them and we are going to annihilate them. That right there is a declaration of war. From certain perspectives, it might be a veiled threat. No, folks. No. It's not a veiled threat. It's not a veiled threat, folks. Now, I know it's the bottom of the hour, and I'm probably not going to take the break. I usually take a break at the half-hour mark, but no. So, there was so much to cover that I wanted to take the break early. Fight the Jews and kill them. That is a quote. Outrage in Copenhagen at Imam's sermon call. Mundhir Abdallah was reported to police after being filmed repeating in Arabic an anti-Semitic hadith, a teaching of Muhammad. Fight the Jews and kill them. That is a declaration of war. Because, as you know, in the last several years, the radical jihadist Muslims have pretty much declared war on anything Western, anything that is free, anything that is liberated, anything that is different from who they are, any religion that doesn't, bow down and cater to their insane religion. The Muslims and the Islamic faith and quote-unquote religion have declared war on anything that is not Muslim. Okay. That is why, from my perspective, I would have to say that we have to do everything we can to protect this country. Okay? Everything. I'm not just talking about we can, go boycott this and go do that. Yeah, okay, yeah. Go ahead. See how that works out for you. Go ahead. I don't understand why people don't want to see the truth and the facts for what it is. I just don't. I don't. I just think that from certain perspectives, people would see what's out there for what it is and to do what they have to do to bring into balance those things that need to be seen. How do you see certain things? How do you manage to see certain things from your perspective? Mikhail Thalen over at Infowars.com, the 11th of May, 2017. CIA creates mission center to address North Korean threat. New unit will focus on, quote, the nuclear and ballistic missile threat posed by North Korea, unquote. The Central Intelligence Agency announced Wednesday that the creation of a new mission center tasked with addressing the threat of North Korea. Located in CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, the unit, according to agency press release, will focus on the nuclear and ballistic missile threat posed by North Korea. Quote, the Central Intelligence Agency has established a North Korean mission center to harness the full resources and capabilities and authorities of the agency in addressing the nuclear and ballistic missile threat posed by North Korea. The new mission center draws on experienced officers from across the agency and integrates them in one entity to bring their expertise and creativity to bear against the North Korea target. An unnamed veteran CIA operations officer who recently became assistant director for North Korea has been chosen to head up the center. According to CIA Director Mike Pompeo, the unit will analyze and direct CIA efforts towards the serious threats posed by the regime. The mission center services as tension in in the Korean Peninsula escalates over the North's nuclear weapons program. So this is going on. American Liberty Radio Podcast. All this news, and like I said in the beginning, things change every 5 minutes. Excuse me. Things change every 5 minutes. Okay? But what doesn't change, what doesn't change much, is a person's reaction to what they hear, to what they see, to what they know, to how things truly are. And when you look at it from a certain perspective, you will see the lies, you will see the deceit, you will see, you name it, it's there. You will see it. It's staring you in the face. But the facts of the matter are, when you begin to spin the information to suit your handlers or to lie to the American people, then you're no better than the elites. Yeah, I said it. When you side with complete and total lies and you spin that to try to get that to be the truth and the narrative for the rest of the United States, you are no better than the elites who are pushing for the collapse of the United States of America. Judicial Watch, 11th of May, yesterday, 2017, Phoenix Trump Nazi billboard funded with taxpayer dollars. Controversial billboard funded with taxpayer dollars and commissioned by an arts advocate. The massive billboard caused a ruckus when it was unveiled in downtown Phoenix, Arizona in mid-March because it features a menacing portrait of Trump surrounded by mushroom clouds in the shape of laughing clowns and swastikas modified as dollar signs. A pin of a Russian flag appears on the president's lapel. The huge display towers over Grand Avenue and Taylor Street in downtown Phoenix and will remain there throughout the Trump presidency, according to a local art gallery that claims to own it and conveniently omits that public money is involved. A multitude of local and national media outlets covered the controversy surrounding the artist that created it and the contentious image it portrays, but all have failed to uncover the important fact that taxpayer dollars are behind it. Instead, the media has reported that Trump Nazi billboard was commissioned by the billboard owner, Beatrice Moore, a longtime patron of the arts on Grand Avenue. Moore's deep ties to the city and the cash she receives for various public art endeavors have remained secret. I'm going to put that up there on American Liberty Radio Podcast because this is important. It's important because from certain perspectives, you will see people coming out of the woodwork, telling you that you have to believe that Trump is a Nazi, that you have to believe that Trump has a connection to Russia, that you have to believe that he's politically savvy when it comes to Merkel and Germany and, all of that. which I'm sure he is, From a certain perspective, you can say that. From a certain perspective, you can literally make people believe anything you want them to believe. From a certain perspective, you can tell people what to believe and make them think that it was their own idea. Now, Mama didn't raise no fool and Grandma taught me better because they taught me how to be honest, truthful, upfront, straightforward. You can add any other phrase you want to there. And I guarantee you that everything I'm telling you is the truth, the facts, and that's just the way it is. Again, think about this. Perspective. This is why I tell people, I encourage you folks to go out and look this stuff up yourself. I encourage you folks to check this stuff out and draw your own conclusions on this. You don't have to believe me. Alex Jones says the same thing. Don't believe me. Go out and check this stuff out on your own. Glenn Beck, as much as I disagree with him in certain areas, will say the same thing. I've literally... Here's an example I've literally seen, and I'll give you this as an example. You may see a store down on your street, and you have gone there many, many times, and you know the owner, or you talk to the people behind the counter, blah, blah, blah. You know this store. It's a great store. You love going there because it has probably some of the best coffee around you and some of the best, cinnamon rolls that you've ever tasted, that kind of thing. So you've been there quite a while, right? You've been going to this place for quite some time. Somebody will come along and say, yeah, but you know that guy down there at that store you go to? Yeah, they support democratic socialism here in the city, and they want to infiltrate the city council to change the codes so that store won't be there. They don't want that store there because that store is very conservative. Got people there that love freedom, that love, telling it like it is. So there's groups that want that store closed. But there's also groups that will support that store in terms of supporting it for the neighborhood. There are groups out there. Now, get this. And this is what your friend tells you about that store you've been going to. They're using that store as a front to disseminate lies about certain Republican and Democratic people and politicians. I know it's a little vague, folks, in my explanation here of this example, but that's pretty much how it rolls in certain cities. The stories that are told, the perspectives that are, the people that have their perspectives on this will say, yeah, what? That's going on? When in fact, you yourself can draw your own conclusion by going down there and talking to this person after gathering a little bit of information. Come to find out from your perspective, from your investigation, you find out that store, that everybody that was saying whatever they were saying about that store and that person is total BS. Absolute BS. I mean, absolute. Just total BS. And you find this out on your own. And then that person that was telling you this about the store and about what was going on, they come back to you, they're talking to you, hey, I heard some stuff. And then you look at that person, what's your reaction? Your reaction, I would hope, would be the same as mine. I would look at that person and say, guess what? I just went down there and talked to that person for about an hour and a half and went through the store and talked with him and investigated and researched and talked to his friends and his family. And I've talked to people that know him that have been in this neighborhood for years. And folks, I would point my finger at that person telling me what, they told me. And I would look at them and say, you are full of BS. and so are your friends, and so are those reports, and so is everything that you've just told me. You are full of BS. That store down there has been in this neighborhood for 25, 30 years, has no political affiliation whatsoever. The person does what they do to take care of their family. I've walked through the store. I went into their basement. I went into their storage areas. I've talked to their friends, family, neighbors, all of that. And you, my friend, are full of bullcrap. That's what I would tell people who bash everybody else, who make up lies, who spin things, and that's enough. Honestly, personally, and I take this, I take my job here at American Liberty Radio Network very seriously. I created this network. I take it very seriously. The truth and the facts have to be exposed. These criminals in Washington, D.C. have to be exposed. The information that comes out of there has to be researched and investigated. The mainstream media, the propagandist media, has to be investigated and researched. American Liberty Radio Network is they're only one unit on the block of other units that do the same thing to disseminate the truth and the facts. That's where American Liberty Radio Network is. You can imagine a block of houses, and at the corner, you have a very, very nice, fancy house that's been there for 20 years or so, and it's nice, and the guy paints it every year, and he rebuilds, and he remodels, and it looks really, really super and really cool. And you look down at the opposite end of the corner and you got a single-story house, 2-bedroom, nice, modest colors, not the fancy thing you just saw down at the opposite end of the corner. I'm somewhere in the middle because my house ain't fancy and it's not run down. It's there, 2-car garage, So if you're looking at home metaphors, I'm pretty much in the middle of the block because I've been doing this a while. If you want to look at another metaphor or another analogy, it's like when you go to work and you have a seniority list and people are on that seniority list, and the only way that you can move up in promotions or whatever is if somebody leaves. Or if somebody gets fired. Or someone decides to move. There are a lot of things that and I can tell you right now, there's a lot of things that Alex Jones says that I don't agree with, but I listen to it and say, interesting, and I go check it out. That's what I do, folks. That's what I encourage you to do. There are some things that I hear Glenn Beck saying, and I'm going, is he full of crap? But he's vague. He's walking around the main issues. He's walking around and just avoiding all the main subjects that we talk about. He's just saying, well, this over here and this over here and that over there and that over there. And that's all he's doing. He's not doing what he used to do when he was at HLN or Fox News. Why? He's got a target on his back, folks. And he's got a little birdie whispering in his ear, don't talk about this. Okay? Then you have people like Michael Savage, who just hits the nail on the head every single time he opens his mouth. You got, Mark Levin, who just literally just tells it like it is as well. You've got Gerald Celente over at his company that tells it like it is financially. Trendsjournal.com. You've got so many people showing you what is going on, and you're sitting there going, I don't want to believe that. Because I don't want it ruining my day. Folks, when you wake up every day, and every day that Washington, D.C. is still awake and doing whatever they do, your day is already ruined. Even while you sleep. So, again, I talked about perspective. I talked about how you can see these things, but let me just finalize this podcast today. Okay. Your perspective is one thing. And how you perceive things is something else. Because your understanding of what it is that's out there is key to your perception and taking what you see and interpreting it. Your interpretation. There's perspective, perception, and interpretation. How do you interpret all of this stuff? How do you interpret it? How do you see it? How do you understand it? How do you have... Where's your mind at? Where's your mindset at? Where is your goals? What do you see? How do you... It's all perspective, perception, and interpretation, folks. Now, how do you put all those three together to work? Well, it's really simple. You become educated on the things you need to know. And even if things sound so unbelievable, you need to take a look at them and say, wait a minute. I need to take a look at this and investigate this. That's how you do things, folks. I'm not throwing you on the ground and pushing your arm up behind your head and saying you have to do this. I'm just saying this is how it should be done. And one last article. I got enough time for this. CampusReform.org reports a professor saying, quote, college campuses are not free speech areas, unquote. Quote, college campuses are not free speech areas. Do you understand? Obviously, you do not understand, unquote. Fresno State University professor was recently caught on camera scrubbing pro-life message off the sidewalk and encouraging several of his students to do the same. Quote, the whole idea of free speech is that we have a free speech area on campus, okay? Unquote. Professor Gregory Thatcher erroneously declares in a video recorded by the school's Students for Life chapter, quote, free speech is free speech in a free speech area. It's a pretty simple concept, okay? This does not constitute a free speech area, okay? Unquote. He and his students go on to argue that it is within their own free speech. Get this. Hang on. He and his students, that's in quotes, go on to argue that it is within their own First Amendment rights to actively remove the pro-life messages from campus. And in one instance, Thatcher claims that since the pro-life group has, quote, permission to put it down, unquote, he has, quote, permission to get rid of it, unquote. Quote, this is our part of free speech. Do you disagree with our part of free speech, unquote, Thatcher asked, while erasing one of the club's messages, after which he proclaimed that, quote, unquote, college campuses are not free speech areas, unquote. The Alliance Defending Freedom has filed a lawsuit against Thatcher on behalf of the Students for Life chapter at Fresno State, arguing that his efforts to intimidate and harass members of the Student for Life chapter violated their fundamental right to free speech. Quote, Fresno State Students for Life received full permission to chalk pro-life messages near the library. Rather than countering with his own message, Dr. Thatcher took the illegal approach of censoring speech and inciting students to help in this, unquote. Kristen Hawkins, president of the Students for Life of America, remarked in a press release claiming that no student, quote, should have to endure this kind of intimidation and harassment for simply expressing their views, unquote. The lawsuit filed Thursday also asked the court to prohibit Thatcher and, quote, any other persons acting on his behalf or at his direction from interfering, disrupting, or altering any future lawful expressive activities that Fresno State Students for Life and its members conduct, unquote. That's going up on American Liberty Radio Podcast. I'm going to say this. I'm going to make this very, very clear. Very clear. Very clear. The United States of America as a whole, from border to border, from east to west, from coast to coast, let me tell you this. Let me just be very, very honest here before I get out of here. The whole United States is a free speech area. If you do not like what we say, the patriots, the alternative media, the people that know the truth and the facts, the people that know and understand who we are as America, and if you do not like the principles of free speech, free expression, free press, if you don't like the principles of peace, freedom, liberty, and security for this nation, you have every single right to disagree with us, but you don't have a right to lay hands on what we express and get rid of it or censor it in any way, shape, or form. So, from my perspective, my view is this. Pack your shit and get the hell out of America now. Pardon my French, but it upsets me more than anything to have somebody come along and say that I don't have free speech, that I should be corralled in a little area off in the distance somewhere where no one's ever going to see me, or anyone else for that matter who supports free speech. No, you're not going to do it. I will stand in your face, I will put my finger in your chest, and I will make damn sure you understand that I am a United States of American citizen, and I will say any damn thing I want to, and there's nothing you can do about it. Period. Pack your shit and get the hell out of the country now. Because obviously you're communistic. Obviously you have socialist tendencies. Obviously you're a Marxist follower. So if that's the case, there's countries out there that would more than love your citizenship. I hope the border hits you on the ass on the way out. You want to disagree with me, disagree with me. We can sit down and have a very basic, decent discussion and debate about certain issues. But when you start getting up in my face or anybody else's face and tell them they don't have the right to say anything and that they need to go 100 yards away in a little area because that's a free speech area, you, my friend, have a mental disorder that you need to have checked out. I say it like it is, folks. Mama didn't raise no fool and Grandma taught me better. My dad told me to speak up whenever I had something to say, and guess what? I got a lot to say. You got questions, you got answers, you want to tell me I've overlooked something? American Liberty Radio at USA.com. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. You can go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com or AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com for more information. And folks, it's always good to come to you and tell you like it is, because I know you want to hear it like it is. Sharing the truth one fact at a time without all the BS. And I trust, and I want you to know that I am not giving you BS. Straightforward, upfront, in your face. American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.com, sharing the truth, one fact at a time without all the BS.